The question that changed the room. The Fellowship Hall of St. Paul's Church in Shreveport, Louisiana, buzzed with an air of restrained curiosity. Folding chairs scraped against the polished wood floor as locals settled into their seats. The hall, usually reserved for potlucks and Bible study, was unrecognizably transformed. A banner bearing the bold letters Town Hall with Donald Trump hung prominently at the front. Donald Trump, larger than life, stood at the podium. His orange-tinged complexion and iconic hand gestures were instantly recognizable. But tonight there was an uncharacteristic weight in his demeanor. The usual bravado seemed muted, replaced by a seriousness that matched the setting. The crowd, a mix of families, retirees, and curious locals, leaned forward in anticipation of what he would say. Amidst the sea of faces was 8-year-old Lily Harper, a slip of a girl in her Sunday best. Her white dress, adorned with small blue flowers, made her look delicate, but her grip on the old leather-bound Bible in her lap betrayed her determination. The Bible, its edges worn and gold lettering faded, had belonged to her late grandmother, the woman who had taught her about faith and courage. Her mother, sitting beside her, leaned down and whispered, "You can ask him, sweetheart. Just remember only if you're brave." Lily nodded, her heart hammering in her chest. For weeks she had rehearsed her question, murmuring it under her breath at night or writing it out on crumpled notebook pages. Tonight she would finally speak it aloud. As the evening progressed, Trump delved into familiar territory: policies, achievements, and America's future. The crowd responded with polite applause, though the usual fiery energy of his rallies was missing. Lily listened, her fingers nervously tracing the edges of the Bible. She waited for the right moment, the courage building within her like a slow tide. Finally, the floor opened for questions. Adults lined up, eager to ask about local issues or pay compliments. Lily hesitated, shrinking in her chair. But when her mother gave her a gentle nudge, she rose, her legs trembling as she clutched the Bible tightly against her chest. She joined the line, her small frame drawing murmurs from the audience. When her turn came, she stepped forward, her eyes wide as she looked up at Trump. His expression softened as he noticed her. "And what's your question, young lady?" he asked, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. Lily swallowed hard, her voice trembling but clear. "Mr. Trump, what does God mean to you?" The room fell silent. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Even the hum of the air conditioning seemed to fade. Trump blinked, caught off guard by the simplicity and weight of her question. For a man known for quick comebacks, the pause that followed was striking. He looked at her, then at the Bible in her hands, his expression softening further. "That's a big question," he began, his voice low, "and not one I've always had an answer to." The crowd leaned forward as Trump spoke, his tone stripped of its usual bravado. "When I was about your age," he said, "my parents took me to church every Sunday. I'd sit in the pews staring at the stained glass, wondering if God was even listening to me. Back then, faith felt like something adults talked about but never explained." He paused, his fingers tapping lightly on the podium. "But as I grew older, life threw challenges my way, losses, failures, and I didn't always feel like God was with me. Sometimes I was angry at him. Other times I thought maybe he'd given up on me altogether." The room remained hushed, the weight of his words palpable. Lily's knuckles turned white as she gripped her Bible, her heart aching with understanding. Trump continued, "There was one moment that changed everything for me. My brother Fred, he was the kindest person I knew, someone with a light inside him. But he struggled. And when he passed away, I was angry. Angry at him, at myself, and at God. I couldn't understand why someone so good had to leave so soon." He glanced at Lily, his eyes glistening. "But one night, I had a dream. I saw Fred smiling and I heard him say, 'Don't be angry, Don. You've got work to do.' That dream reminded me that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting there's a purpose, even when you can't see it." Lily's eyes welled up with tears and the room felt heavier, as though everyone was holding their breath. The silence was broken by Lily's voice, soft but steady. "My grandma used to say faith is like planting seeds. You don't always see them grow right away, but you have to believe they will." Trump smiled, his expression tender. "Your grandma was a wise woman, Lily, and she was right. Faith grows in ways we can't always see. Around the room, others began to share their own reflections. A man spoke of his struggles with doubt, and an older woman, her voice trembling, admitted, "I've been angry at God since I lost my husband. I don't know if I'll ever find my faith again." Trump turned to her, his voice steady. "It's never too late. Faith isn't something you lose forever. It waits for you, even in the quietest moments." The audience clapped softly, but the applause quickly gave way to murmurs of connection. Strangers exchanged glances, smiles, and quiet words of encouragement. The hall, once filled with formality, now brimmed with shared vulnerability. As the event drew to a close, Trump stepped down from the podium and approached Lily. He knelt to meet her gaze. "Thank you, Lily," he said. "You reminded me and everyone here what really matters." Lily smiled, her tears dried, and extended her small hand. "Thank you, Mr. Trump, for answering." The crowd lingered long after Trump exited, sharing stories and reflections. Lily turned to her mother, her voice soft but firm. "Grandma would have been proud, wouldn't she?" Her mother hugged her tightly. "More than proud, sweetheart. She would have been amazed." As they left the hall, the lingering message was clear. Sometimes the smallest voices ask the biggest questions. And in those moments, lives can change.